Pharmaphobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to Pharmaphobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
Hello there.
Good
Welcome
morning
to another episode of the Pharmaphobic Podcast, where we help you achieve the strongest, healthiest, and most capable version of yourself. This is brought to you by Achieve the Lifestyle. As always, guys, I'm here in good company. I'm here with the lovely lady that I dreamt of.
Oh, wow.
And God provided. She's hailing from the Wichita, Kansas area. Miss Janie Brown.
Hi, thank you. Dan's been making a big deal about me being from Kansas lately because my mom sent us his favorite coffee from...
It's the best coffee in the world.
In Wichita, there's a little store called the Spice Merchant.
It's a Spice?
A Spice Merchant, yeah. And it has coffees, teas, spices, obviously, like kitchen stuff. It's a really cool little store in Wichita, downtown Wichita. And we stumbled upon there because my aunt told us about their Mexican hot chocolate flavored coffee. And now Dan can't get enough of it. So he gets it mailed from Kansas every once in a while. And then he'll go on a rampage about how he found the woman of his dreams and the best coffee ever from Wichita, Kansas.
Yep. Puerto Rico to Kansas connection. Never thought it would happen, but it happened. Best coffee in the world. Selling at Spice Merchant in Kansas. Shout out. Support small businesses. Shop local. I guess I'm not shopping local at that point.
Wow. Not at all.
But it's delicious and it makes my mornings better. And today I am all hopped up on that Mexican hot chocolate coffee. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get into some stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. First, let's frame this for a little, real quick. Frame this conversation. We're going to talk about eating real food and access to real food, right?
Yeah,
and
we touched a little bit on it before.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. So this is a little bit of a socio-economic / political conversation. I wish it wasn't political. I wish we could just focus on the logical aspects of this. But people make it political when it doesn't have to be, right? So this is very it's almost along party lines that this divides. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought health, when the Maha stuff started happening and all that stuff, I thought that would be everybody can get on board with this. Especially because the movement initiated with somebody that was running for office as a Democrat. Mm. You see what I'm saying? So I thought everybody can get on board with this. We should be looking at what's in the food. We should be figuring out how to get access to real food, to farm food, to fresh food, to minimally processed food for everybody. We should be looking at the scams in the healthcare system, the scams that the insurance companies are running on us. Why is insurance so freaking expensive? All of this stuff should be everybody should be wanting to have this conversation, right? Mm-hmm. But no.
It's really unfortunate that people will, they decide, for the example you gave, to not like RFK because he affiliated with Trump, right? Mm-hmm. So they're like, I don't like Trump. Therefore, anyone who touches him, I don't like. I don't like RFK. RFK wants to help our kids become healthier. Well, that's dumb because he's affiliated with Trump, with who I don't like.
Yep. And it can't see anything for what it is. And then RFK chose to, go to war with vaccines, which he's been doing for a long time, over probably more than 20 years. He's been in that space, and people lost their crap. They were like, oh my God. RFK chose to question good old everybody's favorite doctor, who isn't really a doctor, Dr. Fauci. And you got to burn him at the stake for that too, whatever. All of that aside, listen, I am what you call an equal opportunity hater, right? I don't like politicians at all. Any of them, really. None of them. I like principles. I like guidelines, and I like abiding by those. I don't trust politicians, even the ones that say stuff that I would be inclined to agree with. That's where I'm coming at in this conversation, right? That's how I'm coming at this conversation.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I was having a conversation the other day with a coworker. He's a migrant. He is from Russia. Okay. He hasn't been in the US that long. I think he's been here maybe 5 years at most. But yeah, he's from that side of the world. And he was telling me, he's gained weight since he's been here. And he was saying, he's like, oh man, people are telling him, because he's like, man, I gained some weight. And people are telling him, like, oh yeah, the food here is trash. And he was asking me, he's like, done. With the Russian accent.
Oh my God. I was like, please don't do it. You're going to do it, aren't you?
He's like, but it's like a heavy Russian accent. He's like, Dad, is it true that the food here is trash? And I was like, woo, that's a big conversation. So we went into it for about 40 minutes. Like, it's a big conversation because he's like, I think when people that migrate here gain weight because of the stress of it. Because, you move from another country, you're trying to get set up. It's the stress of it. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. That's part of it. But you're not the only one. I've met people from India that have moved that have gained significant amounts of weight. So I've met people from other countries, not just, Europe, that migrated here and had issues with their health in the transition, right?
Not even weight. I have, because of where we live in South Florida, I get a lot of seasonal people. And I have some patients from Canada who, when they come down here and live for 5-6 months, their A1Cs go up. Mm-hmm. They don't change what they eat, but it's coming from different sources. So an example would be, is the peanut butter in Canada different than the peanut butter down here because the oil that it's cut with?
Yeah.
Right? And so it's not just weight, it's also blood sugar, inflammatory markers, and things go up depending on what foods you choose while you're here. But I'll let you finish because it goes to like, is food trash in the U.S.?
Yeah, and I'm being reminded because I have another client. She's from the UK. Her celiac went buku when she got here, when she moved here. She's telling me like those first couple of years, it took her a while to realize, it's not the same. I need to be reading ingredient labels because she was just crazy food allergy type issues. I've met another lady from Brazil who migrated here, and then all of a sudden she can't eat meat. So she had to go vegetarian because she was getting crazy autoimmune reactions to meat. There's a lot there, but it happened as soon as she got here. There's examples like that of people that migrate in and then they're having issues with food. And then there's examples on examples of people from our side going to Europe and other places, and their food issues kind of subside while they're there.
But it's a better example when people come over here because the people that we're talking about aren't come for 2 weeks or less.
Yeah.
When people from here tend to go to Europe, it's not for prolonged periods of time. Yeah, it's not a prolonged period of time.
Yeah.
But even in the short time, they feel better. But you could be like, chalk that up to, I slept better. I wasn't around like my typical stressors because I'm on vacation, so I didn't have to worry about laundry, all these other things. And so the examples we're providing with people who have migrated over here are, I think, a little bit more thorough because it's more,
it's long-term exposure, right?
Yeah.
So, and I kind of told him, like, okay, he's saying he thinks it's the stress. And he also said that in his case, when he moved over here, he wanted to try everything that Americans had to offer. So he was buying candy bars that he didn't have access to in Russia. He said he was eating PB&Js like it was his job because it's like an American thing, and this also goes to the culture that we export, right?
Yep.
Where we see other countries that are switching their food supply over to something that's more Americanized, which is unfortunate. Guys, don't do it. Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Keep your olive oil and your beef tallows and your pig fat, guys. Don't do it. Don't let this canola oil get into your...
It's like a little Puerto Rican Trump you got going right there.
Don't do it. Just a little Puerto Rican Trump. But, Lost my train of thought. So they're
He was trying everything.
Yeah, he's trying everything. He told me, he's like, bro, I'm trying everything.
Yeah.
Everything that I heard, like I'm just blah, 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 eating it because I wanted to try it. So he's like, that's part of the reason too. But he couldn't see the food being crap here, like the quality of the food being worse than it was in Europe, because he's looking at access.
Yes.
And he says, man, you guys have everything. Like I go to the grocery store, it's always packed. I can buy whatever I want. You know, you have access to everything. I'm telling you, that's very true. We do have a lot of access to food. And some people would argue that, but I don't think they've ever been to a place like Russia, like Eastern Bloc countries back in the day, because Eastern Bloc countries are doing way better now. You know, a place like Poland in the 90s, fresh off the fall of the Soviet Union, they didn't have full shelves in the grocery store. Go to a place like Cuba, where they don't have any access to meat. Think Venezuela was having food. So people like that haven't been to these countries. You haven't been to Iraq. You haven't been to Afghanistan, where access is a problem. Africa, right? But here we have access. I'm sure maybe there's exceptions here, but it's hard to go hungry.
Deserts.
Yeah, they have access to food. It's a lot.
It's trash food, but it is access, right?
Which is what's going to go into the problem that I want to bring up. But they have access. They have access to put stuff on their bellies. And there's all these food stamp programs and all this stuff. So I told him, like, you're right. There is a lot of access here to food.
There are people in the U.S. I was just talking to a friend of mine who she's uncovering some issues with her relationship with food. It's not an eating disorder or anything, but she's trying to like slow down her eating. Her and I are working together a little bit. She's trying to slow down her eating and I think a lot of us can relate to this, not having to clean off your entire plate, especially if you were raised in the 80s or 90s. Happy plate, there's starving kids in Africa, so eat all your food, you know? And which cuts both ways. Like, yes, you want to encourage kids to eat because they're active, they're running around, but also you don't want them to disconnect from, I feel satisfied, but there's still food on my plate. Let me just push it. Okay. So anyway, this individual didn't always know she knew she was going to have a next meal because they're very low income growing up, but she didn't know what it was going to be or how much. Right. And so every time she ate, she would eat everything she had access to. So that way, if the next meal was really small, it would be okay. So she's unlearning that habit. Okay. And so there is an issue with some people not being able to get access to food in the U.S., but it may not necessarily be because of availability or resources. Maybe that those people aren't accessing their resources. Maybe where their location is, their community isn't set up to access those resources, but it's there. We have the capability in America to feed everyone.
Yeah.
But some of it is not in this example I gave with the person I'm working with, my friend, but some people aren't taking the initiative themselves to improve their diet. Some people purely don't have access to it, whether it's because they're little kids and their parents aren't, it's a very complex situation, but you cannot say in the U.S. that we do not have an abundance of food for the majority of people.
Yeah.
We do. And that, I think, is a problem.
Yeah. No, and then that's what he's looking at, right? In his mind, he's like, man, your shelves are always full. He's like, there's food everywhere.
There's fast food everywhere, not just one, multiple.
Yep. He's like, there's food everywhere. So that's what, in his mind, that makes it a quality situation, right? And it was great to have this conversation because I'm like, man, it's crazy to put, to see it from somebody who just got here, from his eyes, and how he's coming from that other side of the world where he's like, man, there's food everywhere. So I don't see a problem. But I told him, it's like, so two things can be true, right? We do have food in abundance, but the quality of what we offer is poor, right? As compared to where, places in Europe and things like that. And you guys will hear me say this all the time. I'm not in the habit of giving the Europeans credit over what we do here, but with the food stuff, we got to look at it because they're better off than we are in terms of access to quality stuff, right? And what they regulate and what they let in and what they push out.
Right. So to me, anytime I was telling I was using kind of this example to Dan, especially if you're a woman and you've gone shopping, you understand this. When you go to a really high-end clothing store, there's minimal clothing out. A lot of spaces between hangers.
Yeah, what's up with it?
Okay. And they do it to, I don't know why, but it just is. Then you go to like TJ Maxx or Marshalls.
And
There's an abundance of clothes. Sometimes you'll find great stuff. Sometimes it's lower quality. Who cares, right? Get and wear what you like, whatever. But I feel like the U.S. regarding food is a little bit more TJ Maxx Marshall-y, okay? Yeah. Where we don't care so much about the quality. We're just looking at giving people a bunch, give them a good deal. And in order to do that, for the companies to make money, even though they're putting out tons and tons of food, they have to cut corners somewhere, right? And where are they cutting corners? It's in places that affect your health long-term or short-term. And some people are saying, well, that doesn't matter. They have access to food. But now we're getting in this cycle because as we talked about on a previous episode, people who get access to food from government subsidies, such as SNAP and things like that, and it's poorer quality of food or more, and then they're also on Medicaid for their health insurance, they're more likely to develop chronic diseases, utilize the medical system, be on medications. Do you think that is a coincidence?
Yeah. So you have to allocate even more taxpayer-funded resources to these people because they're eating themselves sick off of low-quality food, which in turn creates a system where everything keeps getting more and more expensive and people, you're clogging up the system, right? With people that are getting sick off of eating low quality food. And that crosses socioeconomic barriers now because you have people living in country clubs that eat fast food every day and stuff and they're in, they just pay for their health care because they have access to high-end doctors because of their income, but they're sick as well, right? They're sick and they're at the doctor all the time. So that crosses socioeconomic barriers, which tells you what? That the quality of food matters. Yeah. And that disease, chronic illness, is indiscriminate of socioeconomic status, of race, of gender, what have you, right? Now,
but I think also with our abundance, and this will go to what you just said about crossing socioeconomic lines, but the abundance allows for us to disconnect from our food choices and understanding how food impacts us. Because if you were in an Eastern Bloc or whatever, and you didn't, like your coworker, you didn't have a plethora of food to choose from, you would be more strategic in what you bought. You would care more about satiety, nutrient density, because you didn't have a bunch of stuff. So I need to get the most bang for my buck. I need to get things that are going to nourish me, not just fill me, because I don't have the quantity to choose from. So you're more connected in that regard. In the US, we don't care. When you go to the grocery store, you're not thinking, okay, am I getting my micronutrients with this? Am I getting a sufficient amount of protein? Like you're just buying what you feel you want, okay? And that's the only mammals that do that. Apes, dogs, whatever, they don't, I'm an Italian dog, so I need to have pasta. No, they don't do that. They eat what they need to eat. And we're obviously more complex, right? So eat what you enjoy, but there's a disconnect where we've learned to enjoy things that do not provide us any nutritional value. Now, like Dan said, I just had a conversation with somebody who lives in a country club, very well off, very educated. And he tells me he wants to go on a GLP. Of course, I'm going to bring GLPs back in. Okay. And I say, okay, he wants to talk to the provider I work with about it. That's fine. You know what? Track your food, pen and paper, an app, whatever, for a week or two prior to the appointment. So that way we can make sure there's a good Well, I don't need to do that. I can just tell you right now, I eat like trash. Okay. So why do you need a GLP? Because it's willpower. Not willpower because you're not even trying, one. And two, he has a plethora of chronic illnesses, which he's on medications for. And I said to him, it's not willpower when you know that food affects your body equally as impactful food is equally as impactful in your body as medication. Maybe it takes a little bit longer to show the effects than meds, but it's still equally as impactful. And you have these chronic diseases, how you eat influence these diseases. This is not willpower. You are neglecting your health. You are choosing not to help yourself. And I don't think enough people think about it like that. You didn't get diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia because you ate well. Maybe some people, because there are some genetic isolated cases.
I ain't buying that crap.
Oh, whatever.
Not buying that.
Pure like familial hypercholesterolemia is a thing. But anyway, you chose diet, lifestyle habits that got you to this point. Doctors give you medication. You improve somewhat. They tell you good job, but you haven't changed your diet and lifestyle that got you to this point. And why is that not non-compliance? When you're non-compliant if you don't take your medication, but if you don't change your lifestyle, you're not non-compliant. And if you know you have these health issues, but you're not changing your lifestyle, you're neglecting your own health. So I get up this little internal debate in my head, and it's not my decision to make, but I can't help but to think, do you deserve medications if you're doing nothing for yourself to help? I don't know. I'm not going to make that decision. I'm not going to withhold medications, but why are we so readily able to give people quick fixes when they do nothing for themselves? Now it's common to have blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication. Dan was just talking to somebody the other day who said, oh, I'm on the normal meds. When did that? We are pacifying Americans to accept being on medications, to continue to eat the foods that got them on the medication in the first place, to become sicker, more dependent, more docile. So when people say sit down, they do. When people say jump, they do, because they're so reliant on the system. And it's so frustrating that the most well-off, educated people are okay with it. Sorry, went on a little rant
that's
there.
a psyop though. That's a separate topic, because that's a whole psychological marketing conditioning conversation. People have been conditioned to think that, especially in that older generation, that if you go to the doctor and you don't get a little prescription, that nothing happened. Nothing's being done about your situation. So if they go to the doctor and walk out with no little script to go pick up at the pharmacy, they think that they didn't do anything for me, and that's a problem. That's a problem.
I run into that all the time, especially with cold season. Flus are running around. Okay, support your immune system, take some zinc supplementation, rest, push fluids, help with your symptoms, but your body can fight this.
Well, and then
you didn't give me anything.
Then you get stuck in this cycle of side effects and still being sick. And that's a whole separate conversation, because we're talking about conditioning. We're talking about people that have been conditioned into believing that there's only one recourse.
And I will say this time and time again, people love not having to have the responsibility or take ownership of stuff.
Yeah.
So when they get a medication and it almost is like they're able to sidestep and move forward, because not my fault. I don't need to address what I'm doing wrong, because I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate. Like when you're talking to somebody and you're trying to have a good conversation, they're like, how's the weather? And they just kind of shift it. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, no. But getting back to this, we have a lot of access to food. There's food everywhere here. I mean, it's everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's stuff to eat. Some is cheap, some is expensive, but there's no lack. You're not going into grocery stores with bare shelves for weeks on end. Mm-hmm. Your timing might be off and you went in there Thursday night when they're restocking, but the access to food in this country is insane, right? Thank God it's a prosperous country for now, and we got access to stuff, right? So
we can just talk about, if we didn't have as much access to food, people would freak out. No,
we'd be in the streets fighting.
Look what happened with toilet paper during COVID.
Yeah. So, but he's looking at it from that way. So I'm explaining to him how two things can be true. Yes, we have access to food. The quality of the food that we have access to in large amounts is not great. So I'm explaining to him the ingredient thing. I'm explaining to him the food dyes. I'm explaining to him how the FDA doesn't actually work. Their industry funding. These are things that he didn't know. He just assumed that because we have this robust infrastructure and bureaucracy that things are getting taken care of. He's like, but in Russia, like somebody could do crappy things to the food locally and nobody would prosecute them because the government is corrupt and we don't have a situation where people are monitoring this stuff. I'm like, you have a good point, but the FDA isn't great either. They're bought and paid for, right? And they're allowing that, I was telling him, give an example, look at the food dye thing that they banned now.
Incentivizing.
Yep.
There's not an incentive from higher up, I would just observationally speaking, because I don't know the inner workings of other countries, but I don't think if somebody influenced the food locally, they're not being incentivized by people above them to do so. They're doing it for their own personal whatever they have.
Yeah. And I, look at the subsidies. I tell them, look at all these medications, food dyes, ingredients that have gotten into food, the pesticides, the glyphosate, which we got to look back at what the Supreme Court decided on the Bayer case. And look at all this stuff that made it through FDA approval. And you think that it's like, oh, if the FDA approved it, it's good to go. But no, it's not good to go. So I'm kind of explaining to him, look at all the corruption, look at all the stuff that we allow. I gave him the example of ketchup and things like that, where if I go to the UK, it's got completely different ingredients, cereal, completely different ingredients. Why is that? Why are companies making multiple products for multiple markets when you could just make one product for every market and make more money that way?
Yeah.
So, and I'm kind of giving him the runaround. So I'm like, it's two truths, right? Accessibility is a factor. That's good. But what do we have access to, right? So we need to change the quality of what we have access to. There are plenty of organic, there are plenty of regenerative options. Obviously, not everybody can afford that because that's way more expensive. So in my mind, if I'm going to solve this problem and I'm going to be given a magic wand, it's like, how do I increase the production of regenerative, organic type stuff? Or how do I turn conventional practices more towards this stuff and eliminate stuff in conventional practice that doesn't really need to be there so that we can expand production and give more people access to what they need.
Yeah. And it's not like even mass food producers, like the example we gave, naked Doritos, it's not that they can't.
Oh no, they did that.
Or that they don't know how to.
Here's the thing with that naked stuff, because it hit the shelves pretty quickly too. I thought it was going to take longer to hit the shelves. They created that product in 8 weeks. Here's why. They didn't create that product in 8 weeks. They had it. They had it. So I'm going off logic here, right? I'm assumptions that can be made. They sell Cheetos and Doritos other parts of the world. They basically took the recipe that they sell to the UK and to Canada, and then they put naked on it and they sell it to us like, look at this better version of stuff. That tells me two things. Why you knew that the stuff that you were selling here was garbage. You knew. Okay. 2, it tells me that the ingredients that we need to be worried about are not the ones that you so willingly gave up quickly on, which was the dyes, because the taste is the same, right? So you can't tell me that it's my secret recipe and it keeps the taste. The taste is the same. So it's other garbage that you're doing to this stuff that's hijacking the palates and all that stuff. 3, that means the dyes were completely unnecessary, right? Mm-hmm. So why did we keep them in the system for 40 years after people started ringing the alarm that it was causing issues?
To make money. It's the same reason as they don't make things like chips, cookies and stuff. How can I make this most nutritionally dense for people? How can I make this beneficial for people to enjoy but also benefit? No, they get it in a lab and they think, how can I make this the most addictive that they cannot stop and they're going to keep wanting it more? Yeah, and what does that have to do with your health besides overconsumption of calories leading to chronic diseases? That goes to that conversation
of that person you were mentioning that, oh, it's the willpower. I mean, I kind of believe them. Yes, there's a lack of discipline, but yes, there's also a situation. And Nick, my coworker and I, we were going back and forth on this because he's like, but that's a personal choice. And I'm like, you're right. But there's also injections of, circumstances that make it harder for you to make a better choice. So yes, it's a personal choice. Yes, there's a lot of personal responsibility in here, but there's also an injection of, I'm kind of hooked on this crappy
I understand that, but there's also a responsibility of the powers that be.
Oh no!
And who's holding the CEO of Nabisco accountable?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Right. No, but I'm just thinking of, and this is a little bit of an extreme example, but with the opioid epidemic, some people truly sought it out just because they wanted it. Some people got hooked on opioids because they were given an unnecessary amount after a surgery.
The amount of stories of people that have that, yeah.
So that person who I broke my arm, I got opioids, they overprescribed it for me. Now, for whatever reasons, like psychological reason, brain chemistry, whatever reason, now they're hooked on opioids. Now it turns into heroin. Now it turns into fentanyl, and it follows that path. Is willpower, it's not so much different than food because, hey, I made this food addictive. I got hooked on it, right? Is it willpower? No, but it's also educating, helping that person. So telling these people, this is why I asked this person, track your food. Let's see what you're eating. Let's make better food choices to, detox essentially from processed foods. You have to do that. But who's, what was the organization that got sued for the opioids?
Purdue.
Yeah. They're suing them. They're starting to hold them accountable, kind of. But who's holding these processed food companies accountable for purposely making food addictive so that we get hooked on them, so we can't stop, so we overconsume calories, so we develop diabetes and obesity, and now we need GLPs? And do you think that this is all a coincidence or not?
And there's so many people that don't, you could see the interviews with food chemists talking about what they do to the food to make it more, give it that crunch. Oh, give it this. And people are like, no, they're not making the food more addictive. This is like, bruh. I get the personal responsibility angle because that's part of it. If you're told, hey, this is trash, this is not good for you, look at your results, you need to change this, and you're still going out and these are some behaviors you can adopt to changes, and you're still like, oh no, I'm going to keep doing this, just give me the pill. Then you made a personal choice. You didn't want to take responsibility, right? But I also understand on the other side, again, two truths. Two things can be true at the same time, that you're essentially hooked on garbage food because of the way that's engineered, the way the chemicals that they put in it, the dopamine releases that it gives you, that it makes it even harder for you to consider quitting garbage food.
So do you think medical providers are immune from trying to step in at that point and say, hey, especially with processed foods, let's work on getting you off of these, or your diet's trash, I don't care, here's a GLP?
Man, that's a hard question.
Right? Because I believe that as medical professionals, we should have some sort of responsibility, some sort of...
To point out the elephant.
To point out, yes. And to say, I care about your health. Yes, this GLP will help. Is it or is it not necessary? Depends on what's your weight, what's your comorbidities, all these things. But let's address the root cause. Let's get you eating better foods as well. The problem with that is a lot of practitioners aren't aware. They choose to ignore. They're not educating themselves.
They only have 15 minutes.
They too are eating heavily processed foods. They too are on GL, or other medications. So, hey, I have hypertension too. I take this, so this will work for you as well. Yep. That's not uncommon. And now let's take a quick break. Have you heard about collagen and how amazing it is for your skin, hair, nails, digestion, and joints, but have no clue which one to choose? I've been there. A few years ago, I stumbled upon Bubs Naturals, and let me tell you, I've been hooked ever since. Here's why I swear by them. Bubs Naturals keeps their quality standards sky high from the start to finish. Their collagen blends perfectly in coffee, or really any other beverage you love. Plus, they've got convenient to-go packs so you can stay on track wherever life takes you. And it doesn't stop there. They'll donate 10% of all of their proceeds to charities that support veterans. How awesome is that? Oh, and they've leveled up their electrolytes too. The mixed berry, that's my absolute favorite. It's light, refreshing, and not overly sweet. What sealed the deal for me? Their electrolytes are NSF certified, made right here in the USA, and just like their collagen, every purchase helps give back. So do your body a favor, head to bubnaturals.com and use my code JANE20 at checkout for 20% off every time you order. Tired of looking like you lost a fight with a powdered donut every time you work out? Yeah, I was too. That's why I ditched the messy chalk and switched to Chalkless. Chalkless is a new, clean, residue-free grip enhancer that goes on in seconds and lasts for hours. No clouds, no cleanup, just a rock-solid grip. Whether you're crushing it in the gym, dominating on the pickleball court, or hanging on a rock face like Spider-Man, Chalkless has your back. I even hit my 350-pound deadlift PR at Summer Strong using Chalkless. Locked in, zero slip, total confidence. Ready to level up your grip game? Head over to chocolates.com and use code Jane Brown to snag 10% off your order.
Yeah, when I walk into an office and my provider weighs 400 pounds, I know we're not going to have a meaningful conversation. I'm sorry. You're struggling with your health, bro. Like crazy struggle with your health. Why am I to assume that you're going to be able to frame a conversation about my health if you are clearly in the throat? Like I should be sitting at your desk and you should be asking me questions at that point. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not, it's not a good look to open a door to a room to see your healthcare provider and this person barely fits in the chair they're sitting on. And that this isn't fat phobia. It isn't discrimination. It's like, hey, in the conversation of health, if you're struggling at that point, can you provide meaningful health advice? Maybe, but a lot of maybe not, you know?
Yeah. I want a provider who walks the walk.
Yep.
Who can, hey, you need to prioritize exercise and eating right. Do they do that? If they don't, then why are you telling me?
Yeah. I mean, I look at my job. If you're going to hire a trainer, you need a strength coach. And I weigh 300 pounds and not the shot put throwing 300 pounds, not the NFL lineman 300 pounds. I weigh 300 pounds looking like straight up chewed bubble
Or
gum.
opposite, you weigh 140 pounds and you have no muscle. And you're like, you need to strength train.
Yeah, exactly. Am I going to give you the confidence like this person can help me achieve my health goals? Probably not. And I'm not saying that you need to look like a freaking muscle and fitness cover model, but you need to look and like you walk the walk on what you're preaching, right? So
I'll take it back every time to when I was in PA school, a pulmonologist, I would see him out on his smoke breaks.
Nice.
And this is 2000, I was in school between 2010, 2012. So this isn't the 60s. I wasn't alive, but it's not.
Pulmonologist smoker.
Right? And so how would you feel if your pulmonologist is helping you with your lung cancer or telling you to quit smoking and you smell it on them? How would you feel about that?
Pulmonologist smoker.
And
wow.
that's an obvious one. And you can't readily see how people eat. Maybe somebody is exercising, but it's just, on my bio for work, when I was at the last practice, I put in there, enjoys strength training, being active, all this stuff, because I want people to know I am about that life. So when I try to help you with your foundational health and your lifestyle, there's no question.
Yeah, it is. It's such an entanglement, to use what's her name's Jada Pinkett Smith's word.
Oh,
it's such a problem. But let's get here to it, because this conversation kind of carries into Super Bowl ads, which we recently had. Seahawks won. Go Seahawks. So if you're wondering how a guy from Puerto Rico came to like the Seahawks, it's because I had to adopt a team. Obviously, there's no Puerto Rico football team. And the first place I lived when I moved out of the island for a prolonged period of time, my first duty station was Washington State. So I was told I needed a football team. I took the Seahawks up. They weren't good back then. This is 2006, guys, 2007. So don't give me that bandwagon stuff. I've been here, bro. I've been here. Okay? Anyway, they had an ad during the Super Bowl. A lot of commercials. I feel like these year's commercials were a little better because last year it was all pharma and alcohol. This year we had the pharma stuff. Wegovy's coming out with a pill. Woohoo! And we had the alcohol. But we had more variety of commercials, right? It wasn't as heavy as pharma.
Oh, there was one that people got frustrated with.
And it's the one that I'm going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the Mike Tyson ad.
Yep.
Eat real food. So the HHS, Department of Health, has kicked out this kind of campaign, eat real food.
How dare they?
How dare they recommend that people eat apples and oranges and beef and fish and potatoes? How dare they recommend that? So people are kind of up in arms about Mike Tyson just talking about eat real food. And he basically, it's Mike Tyson, right? He's a harsh guy. The way he talks, he's like,
intense.
He's intense. That's how, if you watch any Mike Tyson interview from the 80s all the way to 2026, that's how he talks. So this is very Mike Tyson-y commercial where he's like, man, I was 345 pounds. I was disgusting. And he's like, I had to change how. He's not talking about other people. He's talking about himself.
Well, he talked about his sister too, who died.
Who died from chronic illness.
At a young age.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact age, but it's less than 40, I believe.
Yeah, Mike Tyson is not even 60 years old yet. So she had to be very young. And he's talking about how heavy he got and all this stuff, and he had to change what he was eating. And it's a quick punch, and then it's just eat real food. There's another one where a guy's picking up a donut, and he comes and slaps the donut out of his hand, and he's like, eat real food. Oh, I love it.
That's funny.
It's hilarious. It's funny, and it's a great message. I've never seen the government, and listen, let's stop right there for a second. If you're going to sit at home and wait for the government to give you a recommendation on how to live a better life, you's in trouble, boo-boo. You's in trouble. If you are going to wait, I really want to know what the government has to say about me saving money or what the government has to say about me exercising. If that's how you're living, you are in trouble. The government, no one is coming to save you. I'll tell you what the government's going to do. They're going to get in your pockets and take your money. That's what they're going to do. They're going to hide email lists from you. That's what they're going to do.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, so, but with that in mind, the fact that a government recommendation is coming out telling people to eat real food, I'm flabbergasted and I'm here for it. I think it's lovely. I think we need this, right? We need this. Eat apples. Don't eat apple-flavored Pop-Tarts. You see what I'm saying? So.
I mean, there's not apple-flavored. I would say apple strudels.
But.
Apple Jacks.
Apple Jacks.
There's so many better.
There's some apples. The real apple strudel is actually pretty good. A real apple strudel. When you bite into it, it got the apples in there and the cinnamon all over the place. Like grandma used to make it.
Okay.
Anyway. So people, my tinfoil hat mind, I'm like, why is the government pushing real food now? What's going on? Are y'all going to do something funky to the food? Are you spraying or injecting GMOing something into the real food?
Everything's already GMO'd.
Yeah, and I got to go there, right? Because I'm defensive in nature. I suspect everything. Everything is up for questioning. Even the stuff that I like, I'm going to be like, how can you mess this up for us if the government is pushing this, right? But aside from that, the people that are up in arms about these commercials, they think it's fat shaming. Obviously, you haven't heard a Mike Tyson interview ever in your life, and you didn't listen to what he was saying because he was talking about himself. 2, they talk about people not having access to real food. And that's where the problem lies, right? So and now here's what bothers me so much. What is the optimal, ideal way of eating? The way that you're actually going to get healthier, significantly healthier. There's only one way of eating that'll do that for you. Only one way of eating, right? It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care who you pray to. I don't care who you have as a partner. I don't care if you're poor or rich. There's only one way of eating that's going to keep you healthy. And that's eating real freaking food, okay? So people are dismissing that principle, right? Because some people don't have, quote unquote, access to real food. And that's where the conversation starts, right? Mm-hmm. And it goes kind of back to Nikolai. He's like, hey, you guys have access to food. And I'm like, yes, that's great, but it's a tainted food supply. Now, this expands a little bit more because people of certain socioeconomic statuses have access to food, but is it the best food? Mm-hmm. And some people are saying, oh, they don't have access to that. This is where the food desert conversation comes in. This is where the SNAP and EBT programs come in. Oh, they can't buy fruits and vegetables. That doesn't change what they need to thrive.
Right.
Right? If their local little grocery store that takes their benefits and, purposely caters to the people that are on the government programs doesn't carry vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, that's something different.
That's a problem, but it's not the fact that they need real food.
But it doesn't change the fact that they need to be eating a certain kind of way to keep them healthy.
Yep.
I mean, are we just going to feed them whatever because they're poor? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That we should just let them continue to eat whatever crap because, they don't have access to it. It's okay. How are we going to get them healthier then? If we can't feed them real food?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And I agree with you. The fat shaming argument just frustrates me because, okay, so you have a problem with Mike Tyson saying that he didn't like that he was fat. But a person who is morbidly obese can say that they love the way they look and they like it. So but that's okay. These people's opinions, why is his bad and this other person's good when it's their own personal opinion about themselves? And the people who, in my circle, who are very against this Mike Tyson commercial, prior to this, they were very fluid. They're like, it depends, da-da-da-da-da. Like, there's a gray area. But because Mike Tyson is associated with Maha, who's associated with Trump, no, hard no, ignore what they say. He doesn't know. And also, they're saying, who is Mike Tyson to tell people how to eat? He's not a dietitian. He's not a health professional. Okay, he's not. But you know what? He has experience with eating. You don't mind Oprah, Tom Brady.
Bill Gates.
Who else is promoting medications? That actor, I can't remember his name. Anyway, any medications, you have no problem with any actor or actress promoting any medication, not just weight loss, but any medication. That's fine, even though they have no experience with pharmacology, how to prescribe medications, how to treat people. But Mike Tyson's telling people to eat real food, and he has experience eating real food.
Well,
it's interesting how that works.
Yeah, Bill Gates can sit there and get invited to every single panel on health, on public health, and he doesn't even have an undergrad degree on anything even remotely close to public health.
He's just rich.
And he just sinister enough to get himself on these panels, right? So nobody has a problem with Bill Gates coming out here and telling you how you should be taking 2,500 vaccines, eating this weird GMO food, how we should be spraying the freaking sky and blocking out the sun. Nobody has a problem with Bill Gates talking about that. But Mike Tyson makes a little commercial talking about food, and you guys have a problem with that. And the recommendation is just, they're not selling a product. There wasn't like, hey, eat real food, buy this supplement. No, it's eat real food. Go to the grocery store, buy real food. No product. No.
They don't even say, like, pharmacology ads will say, talk to your doctor about this medication. Do you know how many times I've had patients come in and say, I want to talk to you about this med? You don't even have the disease that this medication is indicated for, but you saw a commercial for it. So sure, let's talk about it. What do you like? But they didn't. You know what would have been awesome is if Mike Tyson was like, eat real food, talk to your doctor about it. And then maybe that would push more doctors to learn the benefits of a healthy diet and eating real food, and not just what the American Heart Association has pushed down our throats and the American Diabetes Association, American Oncology Association to disseminate. Don't eat meat. Don't eat real fats.
Yeah, it is. So the whole thing with it is that it's not even pushing a product. So you're beefing with that, but when people push products, you don't beef with that one. I think it begs, like, we have to reframe this thing, right? The principle is real food is what's going to get you healthier. Real food's what's going to keep you healthy. Mm-hmm. Real food is it's the solution to a lot of the ailments that we have chronic illness-wise, right? So people, that's the principle. You need to eat a certain way if you want to be healthy long-term. You need to eat a certain way if we want to get people off medications. You need to eat a certain way if we want to decrease the load on the medical system. There's only one way to do that. So the question isn't, oh, these people don't have access to it, so just keep on How are you going to get them healthier on Cheetos and frosted? How are you going to do that, bro?
Yeah.
There's no scenario where that happens. You can't continue, even if you're like, no, we're going to measure and weigh crap. We're going to put them on this
if it fits
thing.
your macros.
And if it fits your macros with crap, you can't do it. Makes no sense, right? So the problem that we should all be trying to solve is how do we increase access to whole foods for not
Everybody.
the store, the real food, the minimally processed food for everybody. Now, let's talk about the problem in these food deserts. A lot of these stores in what we call food deserts, at some point in time, they carried fruits, vegetables, and whole foods, but people weren't buying them. So they stopped, right? Because they're going to lose money on inventory if I'm carrying oranges and people are not buying it.
And then they just go bad.
I'm losing money on inventory. People stopped buying them and they kept going for the ultra processed stuff. Now, this isn't just a problem at the local, WIC store. It's a problem in regular grocery stores as well.
Yes.
People aren't really buying the whole food stuff, right? They go in there and they go down the aisles and buy everything in packages. And there's a rare few that go in and get everything whole foods. So this is this is an at-large problem. Now, at these smaller grocery stores that cater to the people on the food stamps and that sort of thing, then they just start carrying canned stuff, box stuff, heavily processed stuff, because that's what gets bought up all the time. Now, can somebody tell me if when you try to buy some freaking oranges and some ground beef and some broccoli with your food stamps, if somebody's like, you can't buy these with this. You got to go get the Frosted Flakes, bro.
No.
That is not the case. And a lot of these grocery stores that are outside the food desert area, or what we would label food desert area, like if you went to Publix, better places to shop at than Publix. We love them because they're Florida, but there's better places to shop at price-wise. They price gouging a little bit. Anyway, you go to Publix or Target or Walmart neighborhood market and you go buy your Whole Foods there, they're going to take your plan.
Yeah.
A lot of them take your WIC, they take the EBT, they take the SNAP, and you can go and buy Whole Foods. So my thing is this. The problem that we have to solve is, one, how do we increase access to these whole foods? So how do we get these WIC stores to kind of bring back their vegetable section, their fruit section, their meat section? How do we get that to happen?
One way is getting the consumers to request those things and want those things. And guess what a way to do that is? Spreading education, eat real food.
Educate.
What did the Mike Tyson commercial do? Did it spread education that we should eat real food to somebody who had been overweight in the past, who chose to eat a lot of processed foods himself and made the change? I think that's what that did. Interesting.
Not only that, man, I like it because he's a superstar. Mike Tyson's been a superstar for a long time. And
everyone knows who he is, even if you don't follow boxing. Now he's a pop culture icon.
Exactly. Now he's a pop culture icon, right? Instead of having... Icon.
He's an icon.
Icon. So he's everybody. You see that face, you see that tattoo, you hear the lisp, you know who he is.
You think of ear chomping.
Exactly. And or you know who he is.
Hey, real food. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
But you take all these celebrities and listen, I don't like celebrity endorsements. I just don't. I hate it. Go make your stupid movie, sing your stupid song, stay out of it, social politically, right? But you take one celebrity and you use them for something like this, and then I put the laundry list of celebrities that are here endorsing pharmaceutical companies, that are out here endorsing candy and soda and all this BS, right? And you get one guy to talk about real food and we're going to have a baby about it?
You know what we should look into? Just total sidebar. We should look into Wheaties and how they got so
Michael
notorious
Jordan.
with celebrity or high performing sport athletes getting put on the box. Because we know cereal's trash, even Wheaties. But then you put Michael Jordan, Simone Biles, somebody on the thing of it. If I'm, fit, trying to improve my health, I'm gonna buy Wheaties.
Yeah, Well, as a kid, you remember they
anyway,
tell you
just something I think we should look into, because I'm sure that was a marketing strategy. Anyway, so
yeah. And the bottom line here is it comes down to education, and it comes down to there's a lot of personal responsibility here as well. Like if I'm allocated this money from the government, what am I going to spend it on, right? Am I going to spend it on healthier food? What is healthier food? How do we keep the prices in check, right? For people to be incentivized, be like, man, I could buy this pound of beef and eat for a couple days really well.
Yeah, it's really
or I could buy this box of cereal that I'm going to eat in 2 sittings.
What we need to do is make eating real food cool again.
Yeah.
Because, I'm thinking when I was growing up, if you brought your own lunch to school, you poor.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. People, they would in middle school when my mom would pack me lunch, I would hate it.
Right?
I'm like, they're going to make fun of me. I'm carrying a lunchbox.
It's better.
That's for little kids.
You're more likely to get a more nutritious lunch that way. Now, you could still fill a box lunch with trash, sure. But
now I proudly carry my lunchbox to work every day. Yeah. And it's a statement of like, nah, I ain't eating your trash, bro.
Yeah. And then it goes back to, we had this conversation about the WIC, the EBT, whatever, when they cut funding for it. And is it...
They stopped certain states. They regulated against certain foods. They said you can't buy this anymore.
Does that take away from the freedom to choose what you want?
No. Go to Walmart and buy beef and fruits and vegetables.
But you're not going to let me buy my Skittles. And I'm an American. I want my Skittles.
I think we have to remember, too, that when you are handed that check, that money isn't yours.
Yep.
If you want to buy Skittles, you can spend your own money on it, right?
No, I agree. But I'm just saying that that's what some people... It's like with smoking. We know smoking's bad. I was just in New York City last weekend, and it is not cheap to live in New York City, Brooklyn, anything. And why are people smoking cigarettes?
I can't imagine how much cigarettes cost in New York. Probably $25, maybe more.
But it's America. That's how I choose to spend my money.
Ooh, baby. You probably got to worry about your $5,000 a month rent for your shoebox instead. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Yeah. I can't imagine how much cigarettes cost in New York City.
I don't want to know.
Oh, my God. So the whole thing with this is I think people are wasting energy on arguing against the principle, which the principle is we got to eat real food, all of us, every last one of us, every single last one of us. And then
But I don't like who said it.
Well, I don't like you. So it's a matter of if we all linked hands like this, we just, boom, held hands, this little crazy person from New York and this little crazy person from California with this crazy person from Florida. And we all just linked arms like this and said, you know what? We're going to put good old American ingenuity. We're going to put good old American brain power. We out here creating AI, we're creating Terminator, right? And putting all this energy into nonsense like that. But we can't figure out how to get everybody to be able to eat oranges.
Yeah.
And how to get everybody to be able to eat fresh foods. Like we can't do, I'd say we need the food more than we need the AI, bro.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not, if you're on WIC or food stamps, you're not in dire straits where it's like, it doesn't matter what I eat, I just need to get calories. We're not in a war zone where you're getting food dropped to you. We need to take a beat and tell people how to optimally nourish their bodies, bring back that connection instead of that disconnection, like I mentioned earlier, where we have so much food, so nobody cares about nourishing their bodies. They just care about, does it taste good in my mouth?
Yeah.
And give that to the most vulnerable of populations, people who rely on government subsidies for food, and help direct them to a way to nourish their body.
Yep.
And you could get to a point where, and there was a stat saying that the lower income woman who cooks at home, all her meals at home, is healthier than the very rich woman who eats out all the time.
Yeah, man, that's a conversation.
Right?
Hey, listen, that's a conversation, because when people come to me telling me that they want to lose weight and all this stuff, and obviously if you're talking to me I'm a personal trainer. I'm a strength. So you have disposable income to hire a coach like that. So when they're talking to me, I know they have access to better resources, right? So when they're telling me, oh, I need to lose weight, I'm like, what are you eating? And you're going out to dinner every night. You're Uber eating a lot, multiple times a week, and you're eating, barely cooking. Some people don't even know how to cook because they're well off. They eat out all the time. I'm just like, yo, I don't know how to do this if you're eating at restaurants multiple times a week. Yeah. I just can't. It's not possible. Yeah. Maybe if we lived in Portugal, you might be able to pull it off. Here, it's not possible to eat out all the time and get in really good shape. It just isn't.
So what would be the reason why the government wouldn't want the people who rely on them to become healthier, to eat real food, to not rely on the medical system, to not rely on the need for medications? Why would they do that?
You asked a very good question. I was telling Nikolai, I was like, Nikolai, there's nefarious intent in what's happening in the food system here. There's no reason to believe otherwise when you start seeing what research has pointed to for years, when it comes out that companies already knew that certain chemicals and certain additives were going to be harmful, but they pushed the product out anyway, in both pharmaceutical, in pesticides, in farming practices, and in actual food products, and they pushed it out anyway. I'm like, there's just nefarious intent, period. That's the only conclusion you can logically make. You look at something like the opiate crisis. You look at something like Vioxx, that they already knew that it was going to be a problem.
And
right?
I just saw something recently that I think I knew a little bit about it, but I never looked deeper into it, that I want to talk about on a future episode. But with the SSRIs.
Ooh, that's another one.
In the young adults, teenagers, causing aggression.
Yep.
And that was not studied before the medications were released, but was found out after. And they didn't make any changes.
Yep. They basically spent money to suppress it. There's a couple, you know what? That's a good future episode. We should write that down, because SSRIs are one. Vaccines are another one. There's a couple of products that they pushed out, opiates, Vioxx. I mean, we could go down the list that they pushed out, kind of rushed, and then there's research to support that it wasn't going to be good, but they spent more money to bury the research than they would to just recall their product, right? Be like, hey, we wrote, I mean, you could have just recalled it and been like, hey, we kicked it out too soon. The thing is that a lot of these people know they're going to make $10 billion in profit, just to throw a number. They'll pay out $2 billion in lawsuits, and then they keep $8 billion, right? Yeah. So they're okay with it. They're like, oh,
another one.
Yep. They're still, so that's something to consider. But at the end of the day, there's only one thing that's going to help people be healthier. With the lower socioeconomic status people that are in different socioeconomic situations, if we're going to subsidize a certain slither of the population, wouldn't it make sense to keep them healthier so that they're not costing the population at large?
Then they wouldn't comply.
You're right. There is a control thing there. That's why I told Nikolai, this is nefarious by nature. It's nefarious by nature, brother. You can't reach any other conclusion.
Everyone needs to read Brave New World.
Yeah.
Just read the book.
Now, I think it's disappointing to me that we can't use all our ingenuity and all our brain power and link hands on this across aisles, across, socioeconomic barriers, across race and genders, to say, hey, we're going to figure out how we can all eat better.
Yep.
Right? And we're going to figure out what needs to happen. What do we need to support? What initiatives do we need to come up with to optimize supply chains so that there's more access to these types of foods, to optimize farming practices without spraying ourselves and GMOing ourselves to death, so that more people we can produce more of this, so that more people can eat more of this, right? I have a hard time believing that we can't solve that problem. Now, for you that want to argue about they don't have access to it and you just want to let people continue to eat crap because they don't have access to it, I'm sorry. We're just like, do better, bro.
Yeah. I would also point to...
That's an excuse at this point. Do better.
Is Sean Model that his real name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sean Model.
Well, it's Sean Stevenson.
Sean Stevenson.
Model is the name of the show.
Yeah, he has a podcast, and I think his Instagram is Sean Model. But Sean Stevenson, he wrote
Eat Better.
Eat Better, and he also has the Eat Better Family Cookbook, which I recommend to a lot of patients who have kids. His story is great for this example because he grew up in a food desert. He grew up without access to food. He grew up making poor food choices, and he shares how he transitioned from that. And it wasn't that in the midst of living in a food desert, he then started shopping at Whole Foods and eating organic. No, there was like little changes he started making. And so I would definitely point people to look him up and look at his story, because he's an advocate for eating real food regardless of your circumstances.
Yeah. We went on a little rant there.
Yeah.
This was, we obviously had stuff on our hearts and we didn't even get to all the notes that I had. So
Dan gets mad when he makes notes and then I go off on rants.
Yeah.
I steal the time.
I do a lot of research.
Because Dan has CDO, because you have to say it in alphabetical order. It's not OCD, that's out of order. So it's CDO. But I'm a little wild child and it throws him off.
I got research. We have to talk about school lunches and we have to talk about Florida testing that they've continued to do, but we'll save that for a future episode.
So school lunches, just for a little preview. We can just tell people.
No, don't tell them. Let them find out on their own. School lunches are going to be seed oil and dye-free by September 2026.
You just wanted to say it.
Supposedly, allegedly.
So yeah, we'll talk about more. Upcoming, we're going to have episodes. We're going to bring back Jake the Farmer.
Yep.
I just love how close that is to Jake from State Farm. Jake from Florida Farm. Him, and then in another future episode, in probably a month or so, we're going to have our buddy Jose, who did a study.
He's an actual exercise scientist. Yeah. He's a researcher and a college professor.
And we're going to talk about that obesity gene.
We're going to talk about the obesity gene because he did a study on the obesity gene, and we're going to talk about how research is funded. I think we got some good stuff. And he's also a veteran, so that would be a good conversation.
He has a Purple Heart.
Yep.
Which I just learned about.
That'd be a good conversation. Anyway, guys, eat real food. It's for everybody. I don't care who you are. And if you have a problem with that, you need to dedicate your brain power instead of to being a hater and sipping on haterade.
Yep.
Figure out how we can contribute to getting more access to other people eating real food, how we can change these grocery store practices in the EBT, WIC, SNAP world, right? So that they start carrying the real stuff because they can. We just need to educate the consumer so that they go in there and buy the fruits and the veggies when they're there, right? Or if they need to, hey, we got to go somewhere. We got to go to the Walmart neighborhood store and buy the fruits and vegetables with our benefits, right? We need to figure this out. We need to figure out how to make a better food supply chain situation with real food, right? I'm interested in solving problems. I don't want to just kick cans down the road. We've done enough of that and we're paying the consequences for that now, right?
What if there was like government funded food farmers markets that you could use your EBT at? Government helped the farmers out so that they could produce food, and then they went into food deserts and had farmers markets so that people could buy food.
There's enough money to do that. We got to tamper down fraud, waste, and abuse. We got to tamper down Medicaid, Medicare, and people getting sick to where we need a huge pot of Medicaid, Medicare, right? If people were healthier, we wouldn't need to spend that much money on that. You see what I'm getting at? And then we can divert funds to doing things like that. Like, hey, this is EBT day at the farmer's market, and we got all these farmers who are going to provide this lower cost fruit and vegetables, and you come in and boom, you can buy. Like, these are great ideas.
Here's a recipe to cook this food in, little cooking 101.
These are great ideas, right?
I just came up with that off the dome, and I'm not anybody special.
Yeah,
and there's people being paid to come up with ideas.
I mean, the brain power that we have in this country, y'all, like the amount of people that are doing there's people working on flying cars as we speak.
Or the fact that there's people who you could argue aren't very educated, but they found the way to defraud the government through daycares and stuff like that, of billions of dollars, but yet we can't figure out how to get more people real food.
We have the ingenuity, man. We just have to we have to incentivize this. We have to support this. We have to come together on this. Let's all eat better food, right? I don't want to pay taxes for you to eat yourself sick. If I'm going to pay the taxes, I'd rather see you eating an apple, bro. Right? That's all there is to it.
But I don't like apples. They don't taste good.
Okay, eat oranges then. Oranges are very good right now. They're in season, y'all. So it's, and I'd rather see you eat some freaking ground beef with your little apples and some potatoes. I'd rather see you eat that.
But
If I'm gonna pay for a meal, like even if like a homeless person came to me and asked me for money to buy a meal, I don't feel good when I give them soda and a candy bar.
I did have somebody tell me that their mom used to keep those little cans of chili in her car that had the spoon attached to it and would just give that to homeless people because they could just pop it open and eat it. It's a lot of protein.
Yeah. I mean, I had one guy approach me at a gas station one time and I said, what do you like? Go and get what you want. I'll pay for it. Right. And he bought 2 sodas and 2 candy bars, 2 Snickers. I'm like, man, I would have rather bought him some real food.
In that point, then I would say, I'll get you some food and you buy it then.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's a learning process, right? And so you did that and then you're like, I'll buy him what he wants. You saw what he bought. So now next time if you're approaching that situation, be like, you know what, go grab yourself some sandwiches, some beef jerky, some water.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think he told me, he's like, well, I could keep the candy bar in my pocket type of thing. I'm like, I get it.
Because beef jerky in your pocket.
Like, yeah, you're right. That's an education part, right? Like, bro, this beef jerky might be better for you.
That candy bar's gonna melt. It's Florida.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you can keep it in your pocket.
But, you know, I didn't feel great after that act of charity. Be like, man, I just, you know, gave him some trash. Granted, he's got bigger problems than eating the candy bar.
He probably has diabetes now because of you.
Exactly. I mean, he's got bigger problems than eating the candy bar, right? He's living on the streets. But my point being, if I'm going to be charitable, me personally, I kind of want to do right by you, right? Like if we're going to pay these taxes and we're going to create these programs to help people in other social economic rungs, then let's give them good stuff too.
Yep.
You know, let's not give them crap just because they're in a different circumstance, right? We can figure this out, y'all. So I hope that this message today, this rant, this epic rant that we went on, gets your little wheels, gets your little hamster wheels in here turning, right? And you start thinking about, man, somebody's got to put some brain power into solving these issues. We need to vote with our dollars a little bit better, right? Support good initiatives, support good stuff that can help everybody.
Yeah, and even if you don't agree with what we said or something in our rants triggered you, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? That's one thing that I loved about Charlie Kirk. Yeah, I'm going to bring him up. Is because he said, and maybe you can recall this better, once we stop debating things, once we stop talking about stuff, that's when problems come up.
He was all about the discourse. That you can't, man, people that had a problem with him never watched a single minute of his content.
And so if you agree with us, that's great. Thank you. If you don't agree with us, let us know. Let's talk about it. Let's find common ground because there is common ground.
Yeah. And I challenge to those in the health space that think that, oh, they don't have access to it and therefore you're turning away from the problem. They don't have access to it, so you can't tell them to eat real food and then you're done with the conversation. Man, I'm going to challenge you to open your mind, bro. Open your mind up and really think about this. You know, if you're in the health space, that there's only one way to get to healthy. You're not going to eat Cheetos and just measure away your Cheetos until you're healthy. It's not going to happen. So why are we going to kick this can down the road? Why are we going to fight the principle of eat real food instead of fighting the construct that is excluding access to the real food for the people that need it as well? Because last time I checked, they're human too, right? Mm-hmm. So open your mind, okay? You need to open your mind, like Bruce Lee would say, and figure out, attack the real problem. Don't attack the principle.
You will learn martial arts.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So anyway, that's all we got for today. That was an epic rant. We'll talk about the other topics on the next one. Thank you for joining us, guys. Janie, where can they find us?
They can find us at our website at achievethelifestyle.com. They can email us at info@achievethelifestyle.com. And also on our website, if you would like these pharmaphobic shirts that I'm wearing one. Dan's wearing one.
Oh, yeah, we got black and white.
Yep. I think the black on black is diminishing unless you big, thick boy. And so look on there. And then we're on Instagram at Achieve the Lifestyle. And
Hey, go down in the DM, guys.
Yeah.
If you send us a DM, we probably get to it quicker. And if you want to send us a DM to argue with us about the principle of eat real food, send it to your mama instead. Anyway, anything else we want to add?
No.
So, guys, till the next one, I need you to eat real food, okay? Make sure you do that. Make sure you recommend real food to other people as well, right? Everybody, la-da-da-da, needs to be eating real food. I need you to open your mind and let's all start thinking about how we can be better with our dollars, vote better with our dollars so that more people can eat real food, right? And then after you do all that, I'm gonna need you to stay pharma-free.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Pharmaphobic Podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram at Achieve the Lifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website at achievethelifestyle.com.
The Pharmaphobic Podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.